Tonkin king, tonkin king, 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 king.
Castle Storm 2 is a mix of genres, kind of like the Rock of Ages series. It doesn't perfectly fit in the tower defense formula because you're not only defending, you're also trying to take out the enemy's castle or capture their flag while they're doing the same to you. A lot of changes this time around. Some stuff taken out, like the multiplayer and online functionality. It's now just local co-op that's limited to certain arcade game modes, which I'll talk about later. A lot of improvements though. With the graphics themselves, it's all HD. There's a background and foreground that looks great with the gameplay in combat. And now this strategy hexagonal grid where you're moving your hero with their army as well as repairing castles, building and defending fortifications, as well as resource gathering points like farms, different things. Now you can possess every unit though, and you can zoom in farther, and you're able to do this in co-op. Question is it better or worse with the stuff that they added and took out? It's on all the usual consoles. You have to get it through Epic Games Store if you're playing on PC. If you've played the first Castle Storm, a lot of it's going to be familiar. You are still controlling a ballista that fires everything from arrow bolts to explosive boulders to like magical potions. And you are defending at the same time either a castle or a camp that both have flags. If the castle's destroyed, you lose, or if the flag is taken away, you lose too. And this is the same thing with who you are fighting. Now there's a mix now, though, depending on the scenario you're playing. You could have a camp, they could be having a castle, or sometimes you both have castles depending on the type of mission that you are playing. Biggest difference in the gameplay itself, though, is now the possessing of units and the commanders that you have for each type of unit that is allotted to your particular castle or camp. The HD graphics and the ability to zoom in and zoom out in combination like with the foreground, background, makes it much more fun to play and to watch. Also, the units themselves have their own particular abilities they can use, and there's like this endurance stamina cooldown. With the campaign portion, you do want to be taking control of your units in order to level them up, completing certain tasks, usually knocking out so many units in a single match. But you gotta be careful, because if you lose that unit in that match, then you lose that line of units in combat. Although whether you win or lose, you still have that particular unit. You don't have to worry about that. But this is the biggest improvement for the gameplay, is you can possess all the units now, and there's a ton of variety because there are all kinds of units. Besides the ability to possess units for the main campaign, the biggest addition is now there is this strategic hexagonal grid where you are moving your hero unit that has his own assigned troops, his own assigned finite resources with the ballista, and even the magic powers that you're going to be taking along with you. They didn't have this in the old one. It was just a linear mission by mission, and this is the mixed bag portion. If you have to be all in if you're going to enjoy this game, because this is the meat of it, and this is only single player. But going across this hexagonal grid, it's similar to other type of fantasy games where you do certain acts and then your reputation can go up. The higher your reputation is, it has more favorable factors. You won't be attacked at all the castles that you have captured earlier in the game. And there are some dialogue options, but it revolves around just your reputation. If you do something that can lower your reputation, or even if you lose in battle, that will also lower your reputation. You see the crown in the top left there. That shows how well I'm doing. Also, you are building up resources now using farms, using quarries, and other type of resource gathering points in the game. Much more complexity though, since you are building everything and it's all finite. You gotta be managing it in between the turns that you'll be taking, and you eventually get more heroes, and then they move around too. The usual system of not the units, but also the projectiles you're using. Some are better than others, even if it is the same units. This is the trend, of course, that has been going on for a while now. For the morale and leveling up, how it works is when you win a particular match, when you're attacking a castle or just a single unit attacking their camp, your units will upgrade through experience, and they'll upgrade even more if you complete certain tasks. And you're often given a choice of what you want to do that will either raise or lower your morale. The same thing happens if you lose a match, then your morale instantly goes down, but it's not too bad because you don't ever lose any of your units. It gives it a sandbox kind of a feel, because you will have missions where it'll be extremely easy, you can overwhelm them right away, and then others where it'll kind of drag on, or you never had a chance to begin with because you went in with too low level of a units with maybe a particular hero, like especially the secondary heroes. You got to be managing those units. Problem with this though is the loading screen is a little bit too long. It's only a few seconds, but you get it every time you zoom in, whether it's a castle or whether it's one of your heroes. And this also happens when you zoom out. Along with this, managing all the resource gathering points is kind of a pain. The map isn't that big, but there isn't a simple way to just jump to all your areas, which you'll be upgrading. And this is also true with the castles. As you get the farther and farther in the game, it gets to be a bit of a slog to have to go to each point, wait those few seconds, go out, wait a few seconds, and you're spending way too much time managing those things, even if that is something you're interested in. Continuation of the first castle storm, you're now the son of Garrett named Gareth, and instead of fighting Vikings, you're fighting an undead horde of different creatures. So you have those two factions. There's also another campaign after that, so plenty of content. The game is only $20, and for the graphics, the production value, it's well above that. Most of the dialogue though you're going to be seeing is in this form where you have one character alongside another one, and then you see the dialogue down in the middle. But you're traveling around the map doing certain objectives, and then when you get to that point, then you have the story dialogue along with a ton of side dialogue too, where you have those random encounters. But tongue-in-cheek, so for most ages, 9 years on up, there isn't anything too heavy with Castle Storm 2. Local co-op only. They didn't have it with the first Castle Storm. Problem is it's limited to the arcade mode, which is certain types of missions that have so many stars, and you have to do so well, do certain objectives, then you unlock the next section of missions. Undoubtedly, the last one is the endless mode that they've been talking about in the advertisements. It is a lot of fun, I have to say. Possessing the units and taking control of the ballista, you can do what you want. You're not limited to one or the other for the first or the second player. And since there is such a variety in the type of units that you have, and you can do like their commander unit if you choose, or their hero unit, this is a great local co-op game. Disappointing though, because the last game had online multiplayer where you played against someone, and you could also build your own castle and then jump online and fight against them. This is all gone now. It's just local co-op. A reoccurring glitch when you go back into either your group, your army, your camp, or otherwise the castle, you can't switch one of the items, so you have to go back out and go back in. It's even worse because of the load time. You have those 3 seconds or so where you have to wait to go in and wait to go out. Then you have to manage all your different castles and all your different heroes. So this one is a bit of a bummer. I don't recommend or not recommend the game. Reason being that if you're looking for certain things in particular, you're going to have fun with it, or you're not at all. So who's going to like it? If you're interested in the single player campaign, enjoy managing your castles, playing that kind of RPG, part to it, and or you otherwise just leaving just like the local co-op part of it. You don't care about the castle building or the online competitive multiplayer, then I would go ahead and jump in. Everything else is solid, and it is only $20. However, if you do care about the castle building online multiplayer, boom, it doesn't have that right away. The other large group, though, that this is not going to be for is the single player portion. If you don't want to mess around with the managing everything, and it does take a lot of time, a lot of hassle, and it's even extra with the load times. If you're like me, you're just in it for the actual combat, then you're not going to enjoy it as much because you're spending most of your time doing that rather than playing. If you like this video, please give a like. If you really like to subscribe, give a dislike, and I will see you next time.
Gong gong king, gong gong king, 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 king.